Welcome to the Point of View. It's your host, DDE80, aka Mike D, aka 13 Wonder of the World, aka Mike D's. A happy Thursday to all of you out here in the world. It is May the 8th, 2025 at 1:46 p.m. here in the South. God bless you. God keep you. Thank you all for tuning in to the Point of View. Shout out to the Point Place family. Shout out to Bobby Reezy. Shout out to my new 13-year-old niece, Naya. Shout out to M. Breezy, who's also 13 years old. Also, a shout out to my sister. I love all y'all. And thank y'all for joining the Point of View and listening to the Point of View. Oh, man. Yesterday, I just gave you a little snippet of what I was going to talk about today. So let me jump into it. First of all, I want to talk about the NBA playoffs. And I want to talk about how lopsided it has been because the road teams have been kicking butt in these playoffs, especially in the second round. OKC broke that mold last night by winning game 2 by putting up 149 points against Joker and the Denver Nuggets. There was no way in the world the Denver Nuggets should have got blew out like that. But SGA and those boys came out with it on their mind and they did it. So I'm going to see how game 3 is going to go when they go back to the Mile High. I do believe that OKC is going to beat Denver in Denver, and I think this series is now going to go probably 6 or 7 games. I think it could possibly go 6, and I think OKC could finish the series off in 6. Let me talk about the most disappointing game that I saw last night, and that's the New York Knicks stunning the Boston Celtics in Boston. And here's the deal. The Celtics are shooting too many three-pointers. They are a team that lives by the three and dies by the three. They're down 0-2. They've lost home court advantage. They've got to go to New York and win 2 in Madison Square Garden, which they are capable of doing. I heard what the Hall of Famers was talking about on Inside the NBA last night on TNT, and I 100% agree with them with everything they said in that segment. Game 3 is more important to the New York Knicks than it is to the Boston Celtics. Because here's why. You have got the NBA champions on the ropes. If you go up 3-0 against the defending champion Boston Celtics. Now, a lot of people still think that the Celtics can win this series in 6. It's going to be hard for them to win 4 games against this team. But Boston can do it. And I'll give you a prime example. The year that the Denver Nuggets won the championship, the Miami Heat had them up 3-0. The Celtics came back and won 3 straight games, but they lost game 7. They came back from a 3-0 deficit and made it a series. And it lost in the last minute of game 7. Ran out of gas. I do believe that Jaylen Brown is injured. I do believe that Jason Tatum is not healthy. I do believe that the Celtics are injury prone right now. I think they're hurt. I could be wrong, but I think they're hurt. The way that the Indiana Pacers are bringing it to the Cavaliers, I'm going to tell you like this here. Cleveland has got the biggest advantage this year to get out of the LeBron era that was Cleveland. LeBron James is the only man, along with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, J.R. Smith, Richard Jefferson, Channing Frye, all those boys, Mo Williams, Shumpert, J.R. Smith, like I said before, Moscow, Matthew Dellavedova. Those were the guys that was on that team that won the championship back in 2016. The Cavaliers have not been relevant until a couple of years ago when Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland all came to Cleveland. Here's the deal. Last year, Cleveland got out of the first round of the playoffs when they beat the Orlando Magic. They ran up against a better team, which I think was the Celtics, if I'm not mistaken. I think they played the Celtics last year and they got beat in the second round. The year before that, they played New York in the first round and got beat in the first round to the Knicks. Or I think they upset the Knicks or something like I can't remember the stats right now. But this year they were the number one seed. They were all great this year. Mobley, Hunter, and Jared Allen, the three-head monster they got. I know that Hunter comes out the bench, but they are a tall team, along with two small guys in Garland and in Donovan Mitchell. Right now, Indiana is outplaying them. Halliburton and those boys are playing absolutely phenomenal ball. Miles Turner's playing great. Siakam's playing great. He's a former NBA champion. He's playing great. You've got guys coming off the bench, those guys are playing great. The bench of the Pacers are playing great. Game 3 is going to be interesting. Can the Pacers go up 3-0 against the Cavs? We'll figure that out on Friday. Tonight's game is the Warriors versus the T-Wolves. The Warriors were able to beat the T-Wolves even though Steph Curry was hurt, but the gameplay of Buddy Hield and Jimmy Butler has been phenomenal. Buddy Hield has stepped up in these last few games in the playoffs, including the Game 7 winner against the Houston Rockets, where he went off and had like 9 3-pointers in the game. Buddy Hield is proving to everybody, hey, I'm here. I'm relevant. This is why the Lakers should have got him a couple of years ago when he was on the market, but those guys went and got a who? Russell Westbrook. They wanted Russell Westbrook when they could have got Buddy Hield when he was playing in Sacramento. Let's just stop at that there. But I think tonight, Ant-Man's going to show out. I think Julius Randle's going to have a great game tonight, because here's why I say that. Steph Curry's not playing. They have got to take advantage of the situation and try to beat these guys while Steph's not playing. Now, here's the deal. Can the T-Wolves go up 2-1 before Steph Curry comes back? Because if the Warriors win Game 3 in Golden State and Steph Curry comes back for Game 4 and he plays lights out, the Ant-Man is going to be going home again. It's just that plain and simple. They have got to take advantage of Steph Curry not playing. Draymond Green, sometimes he gets agged and he gets tossed out the game. And I was telling people this, and people were not listening to me, but I'm telling you. Right now, the league is letting Draymond Green slide with the little ticky-tack stuff he's doing. Let me tell y'all what's going to happen if it happens. He's going to do something that's going to cause him a suspension in the playoffs if he does something that's drastic. It's going to cost him. He does not need to do that in order for these Warriors in order for him and Steph to try to at least get a fifth championship. And that's just my thoughts on that. Evolve, WWE Evolve are going to have new championship belts. They got the men and women's title on Evolve. They said that Gallus was on there, so it must have been taped because Gallus is no longer with the WWE. They were released last week. And I want to say something because this really is something that I want to say that I know a lot of people probably are not talking about on their pods, especially the famous ones that are coming up and things like that. I'm just a lowly podcaster right now. But I will tell you what I don't like to happen. And I will say this. WWE dropped the ball on Gallus because Wolfgang and the Coffee Brothers, they were one of the heart and soul tag teams in NXT. You should have sent them to the main roster, but you didn't. So you let them go. Now I'll tell you this. If TNA gets them, that's an absolute great thing. If AEW gets them, I think AEW is not going to know what to do with them. I could be wrong. Because they sure don't know what to do with Gibson and Drake. I haven't seen or heard about them since last year when they were on there going up against the Outrunners. Those guys, AEW should have capitalized on them, and they didn't. There's a lot of wrestling and a lot of stars that they're not capitalizing on in AEW and WWE as well. Karrion Kross is a guy that when he was in NXT, he was one of the best things smoking. This guy on the main event has never been in a world championship title push. He has fought competed for a US championship, and that's about all I know. He has never had a huge push in WWE, and that's crazy because Karrion Kross has all the potential in the world to be a hot commodity in WWE. I would love to see him go one-on-one with LA Knight. He had that rivalry with Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre had a great rivalry with him because the folks were invested in that story with Karrion Kross versus Drew McIntyre. After that feud was over with, he was back on the back end again. Karrion Kross. Here's the deal now. You've got guys that you could put him in the ring with. You've got guys like a Sami Zayn, like a AJ Styles. You can make something happen with him. They have Triple H has completely dropped the ball on Karrion Kross. That's just that plain simple. That is that plain and simple, folks. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I see. They do not have nothing for Karrion Kross at this moment. Just like they don't have nothing at this moment for Shinsuke Nakamura at this moment. Sheamus returned to WWE this past Monday. What are you going to put type of program you're going to put Sheamus in? Do you put Sheamus back in the main event status? I think you do. He may not win the title, but put him back in a main event push. I would love to see Sheamus go up against Dominic Mysterio and beat him for the Intercontinental title. You put the title on Sheamus, let him hold it for a month, take it off him. You want to know why? He don't need it. The only thing he needed it for was just to have an accolade. That's why I think Dominic Mysterio is probably going to be an Intercontinental champion for a minute. I don't think Penta's going to beat him. I think Penta and Rey Fenix are sooner or later are going to be in the tag team hunt for the WWE tag team titles, either on SmackDown or Raw. I would love to see them go into NXT. They could become the NXT tag team champions like it was nothing. But there are a lot of things and a lot of crossing paths that WWE can make happen. Ladies and gentlemen, this week, the pay-per-view is Backlash. I only know that there's only a few matches on there. I think it's like 5 matches. I know it's going to be Penta versus Dominic Mysterio for Dom's IC title. I know that Jacob Fatu is going to be defending the U.S. title against, LA Knight, the former champion, Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest in a fatal 4-way. There's no way in the world that Damian Priest or Drew McIntyre is going to become the United States champion. I think what's going to happen is that story between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest is going to keep going on. I think that LA Knight, and listen to me very closely, I think what you need to do now is push for a match between John Cena and LA Knight before you push for a match between John Cena and Cody. Randy Orton is not going to win the WWE undisputed title in St. Louis. John Cena is going to win that title. He's going to close out that rivalry by beating Randy Orton. I don't think Randy Orton's going to be the next person. It's going to be the one that ends John's career. I think John Cena is going to lose his career to Cody Rhodes. I think you go back down to a full circle where you put Cody Rhodes up in the ring with John Cena and Cody wins the title back. Does that happen at SummerSlam? It could. Does it happen at Crown Jewel later on this year? It could. I think that's what you do. But I think that LA Knight versus John Cena should happen at Money in the Bank, because I think that John Cena will be at Money in the Bank. And this is how he's ruining wrestling, folks, because he's not showing up every week on television. He will be, listen to what I'm going to tell you, he will be on SmackDown tomorrow because they're going to have the last little interaction before the match with him and Randy Orton. That's exactly how he's ruining wrestling, because he's not on there every week. He's a part-time wrestler. That's how he's ruined wrestling, because people are going to expect him to lose, and it's not happening. John Cena will not lose the title at Backlash. Randy Orton will lose the title, will lose his chance at the title. Maybe later on down the line, maybe next year, Randy gets that one last hurrah as the champion, and that's it. Before he retires, he says he's going to wrestle until he's 50. So he has 5 more years left in the business. I think WWE is going to keep him until he's 50. Not only that, the other matches, Becky Lynch versus Lyra. I do believe that Lyra will probably lose to Becky Lynch. I think Becky Lynch will become the second ever women's Intercontinental Champion. I could be wrong, but the way that it's looking, it looks like Becky Lynch is the favorite to win that match. Not only that, who else is on the card? That's all the matches I know so far, unless WWE SmackDown has some more, has another match on for tomorrow. I don't think you're going to have a women's title match, and I don't think you're going to have one on Raw side or SmackDown. I could be wrong. I don't think so, unless they make one on the fly. But that's the card for Backlash. I do believe that all the champions except for Lyra will probably retain their titles. Jay Uso versus Logan Paul. That's another match. I think Uso's going to win. I don't think you take the title off of Jay Uso already. I think, excuse me, I don't think you take the title off of him right now. I think you keep the title on him for a minute because everybody wants to see how long it's going to take for Jey Uso to keep the title on around his waist. I think by SummerSlam, Jey Uso probably will not be champion after SummerSlam. I think somebody, probably the Money in the Bank winner, will probably take the title off him. And I'll tell you like this here. Seth Rollins could win the Money in the Bank this year. You know what would be interesting? If, listen to me closely, if Braun Breaker was in Money in the Bank and he wins it, if he was to win that Money in the Bank, that would cause a conflict of interest with Seth Rollins. Because I know for a fact that Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins are going to team up to take on Roman Reigns and CM Punk in a tag match. But I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be Money in the Bank because I do believe that's when Roman's probably going to come back in June, which is next month. And I think it's going to either happen at Money in the Bank or at SummerSlam. If Seth Rollins was to win Money in the Bank, I don't think he's going to be in it though. But it's going to be interesting to see who wins that Money in the Bank for the men's. Because there's going to be a lot of guys. I think this is I think this is LA Knight's run. I think LA Knight needs to win this Money in the Bank because I think that if he is in it, I think he deserves it. I think when he loses, he's going to lose Saturday. I think the when he loses, I think that's it for him in the United States title hunt. I think you go with Solo and all these other competitors now on the low mid card to try to take the title off Jacob Fatu. I think you push LA Knight now to a main event status. I think after Drew McIntyre gets through with his business with Damian Priest, I think you put him in a main event type push because that's the way that the business has got to be now. And a lot of people don't understand that, but I think that's what you need to do. And that's a part of why I'm saying what I'm saying, because I'm looking at the future of what's happening in the business of wrestling. I will say this though. As a consumer that watches wrestling, because I love professional wrestling, I've been watching it all my life. I watch it every week. I stay tuned in to the box because I be wanting to see what's going to happen with who. This year, wrestling has been interesting because of what John Cena has accomplished and what Jey Uso has accomplished. As a singles competitor, Jey Uso has had two of the best years in the business of wrestling. He has been booming in sales. He has been booming with the fans. And he's been booming because people like Jey Uso. Jey Uso has done a great amount of great business for the company. When he won the Intercontinental title last year, that was just the tip of the iceberg. When he won the Royal Rumble, that was the big, big tip of the iceberg. And when he won the title at WrestleMania over Gunther, that was the iceberg just breaking because he finally accomplished his dream. And by the way, speaking of Gunther versus Pat McAfee, that's another match that's going to take place at Backlash. And I want to say this, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this. Pat McAfee's going to put up a great fight, but Pat McAfee is going to get drilled by Gunther. This is just Gunther. What they're going to do is they're going to make Gunther a monster. They're making him as a monster wrestler right now. That's why him winning a title is not important right now. Gunther's going to go out there and try to destroy people until he gets back to that world title mode. And that's just it. That's what we're going to see. I would love to see John Cena go up against Gunther. Do I think Gunther's going to beat John? Not now. Maybe if he wanted to retire Gunther, then yeah. I think what's going to happen is Gunther's going to start fighting against legends. He's not going to be in any type of title matches. I think what they're going to do is dumb him down for a minute and have him doing what Charlotte Flair was doing when she's not a part of the title hunt. And that's go up against, legends and guys in one-on-one matches. What they're kind of doing with Drew McIntyre now. And what they've been doing with CM Punk. Because if you notice, and let me say this about Punk for a minute. If you notice, CM Punk has not been in any title matches since he's been back in WWE. They have not put CM Punk in a tag team title hunt. They have not put CM Punk in an Intercontinental title match, even though I think he would make a great Intercontinental champion. They have not put him in any type of world title matches. He was in the Elimination Chamber. He was at the Royal Rumble, but he has not been in any type of #1 contenders matches for any titles. And I think, and I don't want to say this, but I think that's probably why WWE is doing him that because of what he did to them 10 years ago when he walked out on them. He has not been a part of any type of title hunt since he's been back. I think he's there to go up against future stars. Against, household names, and that's it. That's why they're doing it. He's doing what Shawn Michaels did in the last couple of years of his career in WWE. He had a tag team title push with Triple H. Of course, DX finally won the tag team titles. But after that, you saw Shawn Michaels was in matches against guys like The Undertaker. The Undertaker was a world champion, but it was not Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker for the title. It was a great showcase match that they wanted to have at WrestleMania. That's exactly what is happening with CM Punk. CM Punk is back in the company only to be in showcase matches. That's why Roman Reigns is going to be in matches. You notice Roman Reigns has not sniffed the world title since then. And they're not going to put the title back on him unless he has a small run with it, which will probably be a month. Roman Reigns is not going to be champion for that long anymore. That's not happening, folks, because the consumer is not going to go for that. If they were to do that to Roman Reigns now, they would boo the crap out of him because they don't want to see a champion have that title that long. If you notice, Cody Rhodes was starting to get boos. And he was only the champion for a year. Oh, they're going to want to see Cody win the title back, of course. But they're not going to want him to have the title that long. Tiffy time right now is hot. But do you think for 1 second they're going to want Tiffy time to be the champion for over 2 years? That's not going to happen. Although she's young enough to do it, it's not going to happen. It ain't going to happen. That's not going to happen anymore. People are not going to get that Mandy Rose, CM Punk, Bill Goldberg type, situation anymore. Oscar. They're not going to get that anymore. And especially in AEW, because AEW is not, if your name is not MJF, you're not going to be the world champion for over a year. It's not going to happen. Moxley has had a tremendous last run. I'll tell you this. I think Jon Moxley will not win the title anymore. I could be wrong. When he loses this time, I think it'll be a while before he gets the title back. Who do I think could be the next champion? Swerve could be a champion again. Hangman Page could be champion again. I don't know who else they got that could be a champion. Not the AEW World Champion. I don't know. I really don't know. Daniel Garcia would be a fine champion if they wanted to put the title on him. But just like MJF, I think you go back with MJF. Do you want MJF to be champion for a long time? Nobody knows. Kenny Omega, who was champion for a long time, had all the titles in AEW. Don't know. I just don't know, could you do that for that long of a time? It's going to be tough. But who would want to do it? I don't know. I just don't see it right now. Because wrestling is like popcorn, microwave popcorn. You only want to pop it for right then and there. And then after that, when the kernels are gone in the bag, you want to throw the bag away. That's exactly how they feel about it. The consumers are always looking for somebody new in the business. That's in everything. That's in basketball, wrestling, work field, all of that. There's always somebody new that they're looking for. And that's why I said what I said about, I don't think about CM Punk. CM Punk may become the WWE champion, but if he does have it, he's not going to be champion that long. Let me tell you something else. Seth Rollins could be the champion again, but Seth Rollins would not have that title for a long time. Here's the thing that people fail to realize about this situation with Braun Breaker, Paul Heyman, and Seth Rollins. There has got to be some type of title push with Paul Heyman. You're not going to be with Paul Heyman if you're not going to have a championship run. I do believe, and I could be wrong, but I do believe that Seth Rollins could possibly have a title push with Braun Breaker. They could become the WWE Tag Team Champions, World Tag Team Champions, if they wanted to do it. I think you should do that. Because Braun Breaker could make a great tag partner with Seth Rollins. I don't think you take the titles. They beat the New Day to take the titles. I think you put them on a babyface team and you take the titles off of them. That's how you do that. You don't take the titles off the New Day to give them to Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. And this is just me hypothetically talking right now. But I do believe that Paul Heyman, there's one thing about being grouped up with Paul Heyman. In WWE, everybody that has dealt with Paul Heyman has been some type of champion. From the Brock Lesnars, from the Big Shows, from the Kurt Angles, from the Curtis Axel, from the CM Punks, from the Usos, from Roman Reigns. Those guys have been a part of Paul Heyman's managerial services, and because of that, they have all been world champions except for Curtis Axel, because Curtis Axel was the Intercontinental Champion. And he got there because he was a Paul Heyman guy. The only person that did not win a world title was Cesaro, Claudio, who's in AEW, because of the fact that they didn't jail or something happened to where Claudio did not stay a Paul Heyman guy, but he was a Paul Heyman guy. But I'm telling you, notice everybody that Paul Heyman manages or counsels has been a champion. So here's the deal. Does Braun Breaker win a tag team title? Yes. Does he win it with Seth Rollins? Yes. Does he has the wise man right there? Yes. Could possibly happen. Look out in the future for that. Let's talk about AEW for a minute, then I'm going to go. Oh, man, AEW had a great show. We saw some great matches, great action in the six-man tag match with Swerve, Speedball, Mike Bailey, and Mark Briscoe went up against the Young Bucks and Ricochet. Ricochet beat Swerve with a straight up roll up. That's what he won with. I guess they're gonna keep beefing. I guess I think it's supposed to be Speedball and Ricochet that's gonna be beefing now in the ring. We saw Mercedes Moné attack Jamie Hayter. That's gonna be interesting. Also tonight, while the Warriors are playing, you guys can watch AEW Collision. They're gonna be live tonight. They're gonna be going head to head with TNA. Impact tonight as well. Joe Hendry will be defending the TNA title against Trick Williams. Don't be shocked if Trick Williams wins the title. We'll see what happens in that as they get prepared for that. Also some matches. I think the Hardys are going to probably go up against the Nemics again. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that tonight on TNA Impact as they get ready for their Rebellion pay-per-view as well. Also, ladies and gentlemen, let me also talk about Bobby Lashley and, of course, MJF trying to be a part of the Hurt Business. MJF attacked Top Flight to impress Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley told everybody that next week they're going to make a decision. MVP and them have a lawyer. So I guess we'll figure out who's going to be, is MJF going to be with the Hurt Business or the Hurt Syndicate, tomorrow or not. I mean, next week or not. We know next week is going to be Moxley versus Samoa Joe in a steel cage for the AEW Championship. Samoa Joe's not going to win that match, folks. I don't think Samoa Joe's going to win that match. I think you still ride with Jon Moxley as their champion. I think that's what's going to happen because I did thought that Adam Copeland Edge was going to win and he didn't. So I think you still go with Jon Moxley as your champion. I think he will be your champion after next Wednesday on Dynamite. I can't wait for that match between Kenny Omega and Okada. Very interesting matchup that's going to be. I think he's going to go up against Speedball Mike Bailey first before he goes up against Kenny Omega. That's Okada. That's going to be interesting. The international champion versus the continental champion. I think they're going to combine the titles and make them one. So we'll see what happens with that. What else happened on Impact, man? I mean, not Impact, but on Dynasty. I don't. Basically, that's about all to me. Oh, Toni Storm won her match against Thunder Rosa, Anna Jay, and Penelope Ford. Great women's matches, great women's action on there as well. We're gonna see, can Jamie Hayter do the unthinkable and beat Mercedes Moné to become the Owen Hart Memorial Women's Champion? We're gonna see it. We're gonna see what it is. Hangman Page, wow, and Will Ospreay. That's gonna be one of the best matches on that thing when they have it, man. But next week they go up against the Callis family. Don Callis reminds me of Paul Heyman, and they both used to work in the same company at ECW. The difference is that Paul Heyman is only now that he's older. Paul Heyman only has like 2 or 3 people with him. Don Callis has an army. It's hard to outsmart a guy like Don Callis because he's always got backup. But we'll see what happens with that on AEW, man. They're interesting me a little bit more now because at one time I was starting to fall off on AEW, but they're starting to interest me again a little bit. And I still say that sometimes TNA has better shows than AEW because of the umbrella there with WWE with the co-promoting. It's going to be a lot of people that are going to sign with TNA even though WWE's co-promoting with them, the ones they let go. A lot of NXT stars are probably going to be there within the next month. The other ones are going to have to sit there and wait for 2 more months before they can sign with anybody. I think it's time for Cedric Alexander to go to AEW. I think he's going to be the next one that's going to be a part of the Hurt Syndicate. If they decide not to put MJF in the Hurt Syndicate and they start talking about we got somebody coming in that's going to be a part of our group, that is going to be Cedric Alexander, folks. That the writing's already on the wall with that. It's going to be Cedric Alexander because there's not going to be anybody else but him unless something goes wrong with the deal that they just want to shock people with somebody else. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Cedric Alexander. It's just that plain simple in my book. Tomorrow night, Friday Night SmackDown. NBA playoffs tomorrow night. But until then, God bless you guys. God keep you. I'm out. I love all you. Peace and love.